This video will be the intro to the unit circle. All right, so as you can see here, I have a radius of 1. So that's how long my radius is. Remember, this is going to be an intro to the unit circle. So I have a radius at 1. And so the way this unit circle is created is we started at the origin, as you can see here. And then once I animate everything, you'll see the circle form. So remember, the unit circle sits at the origin with a radius of 1. And there's my unit circle. All right, now let's use the coordinate plane to derive two definitions. So any point in a coordinate plane is x comma y. Now let's draw a triangle and inscribe it inside of the circle. So y is a vertical value and x is a horizontal value. So now we have our right triangle inscribed in the circle. So if we take a look at the central angle, that's where theta will be located. Now we can be able to write our first trigonometric ratio. So remember, by definition, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. In this case, it will be y over r. And remember, r has a value of 1. Remember, we're talking about a unit circle. The radius is 1. Therefore, sine theta is equal to y over 1, and y over 1 is just y. So that gives us our first value that's going to be like very important for later. Sine theta is equal to y. Now let's take a look at the cosine value. And by definition, cosine theta is equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So in this case, it will be x over r. And just as we did with sine, y over r, we're going to simplify cosine, which is x over r. And remember, radius has a value of 1. The radius is 1. Therefore, cosine theta would be x over 1, and x over 1 is equivalent to x. So that leaves us with cosine theta is equal to x. So if we zoom back out, what we're looking at is where our first two definitions come from for our unit circle, sine theta and cosine theta. So this is a fundamental fact on the unit circle. Cosine is the x value, sine is the y value. Very important. Cosine is the x value, sine is the y value. So I want us to start to think of this as a compass. And to master a compass or understand directions on a compass, we have to know where our four cardinal directions are, which is north, south, east, and west. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting in the coordinates at each of these points. So these are our values if I went 1 unit in each direction, left, right, up, or down. So we're going to start at 1, 0, which is the east, and we're going to rotate in a positive direction to the north, which is 90 degrees. Keep rotating. Now we're going to head towards the west. That's 180 degrees. Rotate again. We're going to be at the south, which is 270 degrees. Then I complete everything back at the east at 360 degrees. So how does this help me? So if we look at the coordinates at 0 degrees, we'll see that the cosine at 0 degrees is equal to 1 because 1 is the x value. Also, if we take a look at sine at 0 degrees, it will be equal to 0 because sine is the y value. So at 90 degrees, the cosine is 0, and at 90 degrees, sine is 1. All right, so let's take a look at a video for graphing the sine function y is equal to sine x. All right, so on this one, we're going to graph the sine function. So I'm going to get this going. Remember, based on those points, and as you can see, there are 5 points sitting here. Remember, at 0 degrees, sine is 0. At 90 degrees, which is this one, sine is 1. At 180 degrees, sine is 0. At 270 degrees, sine is -1. And then at 360 degrees, is back at 0. So that's basically me going from east, that's north, that's west, that's south, and that's back to east. So I went all the way around the circle, and I just plotted the values as I went, which means it creates a sine wave, and that's why the wave looks just like that. So let's take a look at the table of values for sine x. Now let's take a look at cosine x. So if you pay attention to the unit circle over here on the left, you'll see the x values are the values that we have to use for cosine. So here's my cosine at 0, 90, 180, 270, and back to 360 degrees. So here's what it would look like if you typed it in a graphing calculator. You can see here I typed in my function here on the top screen, and when I graphed it, there's my 1, 0, -1, 0, +1, and there's my cosine wave.